Hey guys, what's going on? This is Ed from vinylalbumcovers.com. In fact, not only is it Ed from vinylalbumcovers.com, it's also Dre from vinylalbumcovers.com. Yeah, nothing, still nothing. And also as a guest, our very special guest, who's the only person we could have do these things with us from Soul and Stereo, Mr. Edward Bowser.
I'll give it to you, Ed. What's going on?
There you go. There you go. Thank you. Thank you. At least someone talks to me. All right. So now we're gonna so now we're gonna dive into the next Whitney thing. We're in the middle of a Whitney love-a-thon. At least most of it's been fairly loving. But now we're gonna dive into like half a record, I guess. We're gonna be talking about the Bodyguard soundtrack. Because let's be real, you don't care about the second half of that record any more than we do. Stop playing.
Never even heard it before.
You've never heard it?
No. Just the Whitney songs.
Wow.
There's some good non-Whitney songs, but I will talk about that later.
Yeah, there's a little bit. Yeah, but most of it is, I agree with you, most of it, the side B version of it is basically forgettable. So it's, you have the floor, Ed. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the soundtrack to The Bodyguard. What you got?
Let's talk about The Bodyguard. So I feel like I've started every one of these episodes the same way, and soon this will change because we're getting closer and closer. So I've always said that Whitney has been like the artist for my aunts. Bodyguard, this soundtrack is the artist for my mom.
Every time
we're getting closer. We're 92. We're getting closer.
But even with I'm Your Baby, well, you kind of didn't do that with I'm Your Baby Tonight, though. You were fair about it.
Yeah, I love the song, but again, I didn't embrace the album until later. So this soundtrack, my gosh, the first 4 or 5 songs were outright inescapable. You knew these songs whether you wanted to know them or not. I mean, and beyond the fact that they're covers, but Whitney was absolutely Whitneying on every single one of those joints.
Yeah.
My God, she was on fire. And I guess it was a few months ago, I ranked the 50 best R&B albums of the 90s, and people were giving me crap because the Bodyguard did not make the list. Here's why. Not that this is a bad soundtrack, it's great. There's something about, even though these vocal performances are so big and expertly done, I don't know, there's something about them that just don't really resonate with me outside of the context of the film, if you feel what I'm saying. Like, they're very well done. They're great. They work for what they're doing with the film and the story told there. It's not something I really revisit. And the second half of the album is not a Whitney album, it's everybody else. And shout out to my girl Lisa, because Someday is dope. I love that song. Everything else, though, everything else is all right. And that kind of drags the album down a little bit. A great album, the first half, it drags it a little down for me. Yes.
Anchor.
I mean, I will give it props. It's not that bad. But the point is, this first half, we remember it. We kind of like mind melded, and it is just like outstanding Whitney showcase, and it is. But as an overall album, there's more Whitney. I mean, there's less Whitney than you remember, and that hurts it. And then the songs, it might just be because there's so many covers. It's just something about it that I never really resonated as a Whitney project. It felt like a great curiosity, I'll put it like that, instead of like a fully formed album.
So that's why you asked me if we were covering it or not.
Exactly.
Because it does, to you, it doesn't feel like it's part of the Whitney canon.
But you can't really but you really cannot talk about it though, because you can make a case that her signature song is on this album, even though it's not her album, you know?
Absolutely. Like it does.
Fortunately, you can, yes.
The 90s Whitney.
I know, sorry.
This is very 90s Whitney, like the songs that are here. But it's hard for me in my brain to just like put it with the Whitney, the best of Whitney, because it just feels like here's some dope songs she did, and here's, you know, some random other people. Kenny G's here, yay. And they're singing the weird stuff with the Curtis, so good album, y'all, but I don't love it. That's another one of my aunt's favorites. My aunt's getting so much love. I've got to shout her out on this podcast. She's on every episode.
Yes. Shout out to Ed Bowser's aunt for sure. Yeah. I always have more in common musically with people's aunts than I do with the people themselves.
I can't
It's true. It's like that.
Oh man.
I have the musical taste of an old black man. It's true.
Hey, very true.
You could do a lot worse. Okay, so favorite thing on the record.
Favorite thing on the record.
And by record, I mean the first 6 songs.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Man, they're so hard because they're so ever present. Maybe like I'm every woman, I have nothing, I will always love you. I feel like they have reached this other stratosphere of songs that we adore, but I'm also so tired of because they're just so saturated.
Really? Okay.
So I would probably pick Run to You as my favorite as of today.
Really?
Not the best, but if we're just doing favorites, that's what I would probably pick.
I knew you would say something else. Wow. I'm really surprised by that. Okay. Interesting. Okay. And so the worst thing.
No, I mean you can just grab bag anything after track 6, but we can go with that peace, love, and understanding joint. I'm absolutely good with never hearing that again.
Agreed. Yeah, Curtis Stigers, sorry, man. It's
sorry. Like it bees like that sometimes, Curtis.
It does. He had one song, and this is not that song.
No, this was not. I wonder why.
Yeah, see, it gets me. Yeah, that song is halfway decent, but everything, no, we're not okay with this one here. Okay, so you've picked your disaster, you've picked your really good one. Dre, don't hurt him too bad.
Well, so as far as I'm like, I know you look at this as a whole album, a soundtrack. I look at this as just a 6-track Whitney album because I've never even heard the other songs. I've never even heard the other songs. Not that I've avoided them, I just never heard them, and I just never really bothered to, check them out. Because like I said, as far as I can, growing up, this was Whitney's album, The Bodyguard.
Yeah.
And so as far as like my favorite song, you guys are probably gonna be mad at me, I don't know, but I Have Nothing is right up there with You Give Good Love. I love that song so much.
It's dope.
I love the way she sings it. I love it. Yeah, I mean, I just like the song, man. She sings it so well. Very, very, a lot of emotion in it, and even the end, that's just like she's bringing it home. I just love the way she brings that song home. She drives it in, As far as the one that I don't like, I guess Someday I'm Coming Back. It's kind of the one that I probably like the least out of the 6 Whitney songs. But I don't.
That was Lisa Stansfield.
No, that's the Lisa song. That's my song.
That's a Lisa song?
Yes. How you hate on the sax?
So I've heard that song before.
You did hear something from the other ones.
Why am I
look at Ed?
Not the sax.
Okay, so fine then. I'll go Queen of the Night then.
Ed's about to join Elizabeth.
Yes.
I'll do Queen of the Night. That's probably my least favorite out of the Whitney songs on there.
Really?
I agree.
Okay.
I agree with you.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I don't
least of the Whitneys.
I don't dislike it, but it's just I don't know. Okay. She was going for like a Janet Jackson thing or something. Yeah. I don't know. It
does feel very Black Cat. Yeah, I didn't think of it.
Yeah,
it does.
And like I said, again, I don't hate the song. I don't dislike it. It just out of the 5 or 6 songs that she actually did, that's probably the one that I don't like. I love her version of I'm Every Woman. I love how she shout out Shaka Khan at the very end of the song as well. She's having so much fun singing that song, and it's just infectious. The way she opens, the way she closes it, like Shaka Khan, the way she, just love it. Yeah. Yeah. I Will Always Love You is a really good song, but I'm sick of hearing it. Like Ed said, it's just oversaturated. But it's probably her signature song, though. But you hear it everywhere. The Globetrotters even incorporated it into one of their little bits one time. Me and my wife went to go check them out, and they incorporated it into their little act. I thought that was pretty funny. But overall, I'm just sick of the song. It's a good song, but I'm just tired of hearing it. Usually when it comes on my iPod and I'm listening to one of my 90s mixes, I typically skip it. So
yes,
yeah, it's on there. I still have it on there. I know I show the song love by putting it on there, but I skip it normally. Yeah.
So Yeah, so we're still not at the point where we're disagreeing with each other. We've made it further without major disagreement than we had than we did on the Michael one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, as Dre said already, and as has already been noted, really, this is basically just a Whitney Houston EP with a bunch of stuff nobody cares about. Although I will say that the Soul System thing is kind of fun. And the Lisa Stansfield song speaks for it. It's Lisa Stansfield. You can't really go wrong there. But the rest of it, yeah, no thanks. I'm looking at the list now, the Joe Cocker thing with Sass Jordan. They sound good together, but the song itself, yeah, it's okay.
Joe Cocker's on here?
Yeah, Trust in Me is a song with Sass Jordan. It's
okay.
She could really sing, and he still had it at that point too. So it's fine, but it doesn't really belong here. Peace, love, and understanding. The less said about that, the better.
Please.
Yeah, that was a bad idea. The Aaron Neville thing. There it is. Even if my heart would break, even if my eardrum would break. How about that?
I could never get into his music.
Neither can I.
Like, his voice does nothing for me. Absolutely.
It doesn't match his face. Like he
right.
He looks like an inside linebacker.
Body, yeah.
He looks like an inside linebacker.
He does.
And his voice is like so. It's just so.
What was that?
I don't know. His voice is too soft. Like his voice is just so. It's too country, or I don't know how to describe it, but it just doesn't. It's weird.
It's the vibrato you hate.
Yeah, like it doesn't match him.
I do. Just look at this man.
Yeah.
No. Do I have to? Like, no, I'd rather not. Yeah, no, I agree with you. He seems like a lovely guy, and really more than anything, it's just the tune. The tune is nothing. It's absolutely nothing and nowhere. It's uninteresting.
You know what it is?
Go ahead.
He still sings every song like it's the 1950s or early 60s. That's the way he sings all of his songs. He approaches every song the same way. Every single song he approaches.
Kind of like a doo-wop singer. I didn't think of it that way, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
You got a good point there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that, but you're right. So, okay, so just forgetting that those other things exist, because they probably shouldn't. So that leaves us with 6 other tunes. I think of the tunes, I'm going to mention the one that I thought Ed was going to mention as his favorite from the record, I'm Every Woman. Because that's got a groove to it. See, the problem for me is, like, I'm Your Baby Tonight was so loose and so fun. And I know this isn't a proper album. I understand that the songs exist here in the form that they do in order to serve a motion picture. I get it. It's like you went R&B for me and gave me all this fun and showed me the fun cutting up Whitney. And then you get back here and you go right back to pop, which we got already, and we already told you. I mean, it worked, it sold, but it's like you're going back to the problem again. And I mean, I'm not a David Foster hater by any stretch. Although by this point, this is when he started to work to a template and became a whole lot less interesting. And that's how we end up with And I. That's its name, by the way. It's not I Will Always Love You. The song is forever titled And I. Because that's what we remember from it. It's a beautiful tune. If you've never heard Dolly Parton's original, it's worth listening to, because she wrote it about a very real situation where she was on I'll go ahead and show my age. I've already done it, but she was on a show with Porter Wagner. It was a country thing, and had been a featured vocalist on his show. And she was trying to find the strength to leave. And so this was kind of like her goodbye note to him. So it's actually a very personal song, bittersweet memories. That's all I'm taking with me. So goodbye, please don't cry. We both know I'm not what you need. So it was written about that. It's an excellent lyric. Dolly Parton is great for a lyric. And the music is very nice too. And the way she originally delivered it, and she's cut it twice, I think. And it sounded really sweet and sincere and lovely. But when they went in to cut this, originally the song that was supposed to be used was not this. It was supposed to be What Becomes of the Brokenhearted. That's what they originally picked and paid the rights for. But then Paul Young ended up cutting that song for the Fried Green Tomatoes soundtrack, and it was too close. And so Kevin Costner went, well, that's just great. What are we going to do now? And then he was in a bar somewhere and heard Dolly Parton's cut of I Will Always Love You and went, wait a minute, that's the tune. You've heard this?
Yeah.
And so then they sent it off to Foster, and Foster went, yeah, I get it. And he said, the thing I don't get is like, how am I going to start the tune? And then he decides, how about I just let her sing? Which is how we get,
Kevin Costner, that was Costner's idea.
Yeah, it was, that's right. It was Costner's idea. Foster was like, but wait, there's nothing behind this. The radio won't play an a cappella intro. And Costner was like, they have to. She's Whitney. Of course they will. Stupid.
True.
Leave it alone. You're right. It was Kevin. It wasn't David. That's totally right. And David went ahead and trusted his instincts, and we end up with a classic. I mean, it's even in spite of the fact that I have no interest to hear and I anymore, I can't deny the beginning of that song for some reason, because it's so beautiful. When I hear her do that, it does pull me in. And it doesn't matter that I've heard the song 50 million times by now. The beginning of it pulls me in. Because it cares.
It's the perfect intro.
Yes, it's chilling. It's so like it's nothing like it, and it's just so serene and almost eerie. It works.
Only like Whitney can do. Only like Whitney can do.
And she got so far with that a cappella intro. Like, it's not even just a line. Like, she got through an entire verse and the beginning of the chorus, and then the music comes in, and it's beautiful the way it comes in. I mean, just the brilliance of Foster in the arrangement, plus the way she was feeling the lyric. It's whispered in and it builds and then it goes back down again. It's just, this is the work of a pro.
Right.
Yeah.
This is somebody that knows, not only that knows that she has the voice in there, but she knows how to use it, and she cares about lyric. I'm going here for just a second. There are so many singers that exist today, and Ed will feel this.
I know where you're going.
That exist today that have the instruments in their throat. They have the equipment to do it, and they have, on the surface, they have the right influences. Like, I grew up listening to Whitney Houston. Great. What'd you get from her? And what they picked up from her was the runs, or they'd get those from Mariah Carey. Like, they picked up the runs, but the thing is, they didn't pick up the taste. They didn't understand why Whitney was doing the runs. They just picked up the runs. And so you end up with singers, I'm doing it. I'm going all the way.
Christina Aguilera.
Thank you. Yes. Christina Aguilera has the equipment in her throat and zero understanding of taste.
Control.
The control's there too. She just has no taste. I know what you mean by control too. She doesn't understand when to do them and when not to. She doesn't understand when to just sing the melody. No clue, because she rarely does so. There's this particularly putrid version of her doing Sunday Kind of Love. You can find it on YouTube. It's a mess. And her take on it last is embarrassingly poor, because it's nothing but runs. I don't get the sense that you even know what the song's about. She does The Thrill Is Gone too, and that's equally bad, because she doesn't understand the song, or if she does, she's not trying to. She just wants to be heard. And unfortunately, and we have to blame Whitney for this, even though she didn't mean to do it. The girl singers were listening to her, and they picked up the runs that she was doing so effortlessly and didn't pick up any of the taste. They didn't understand why she was doing the things that she was doing. So even with a tune like I Will Always Love You, that starts out so beautifully, and a tune that we're admittedly sick of, it starts so beautifully that in spite of the fact that we're tired of it, it still does this to us. It still gets us because of the taste with which she sang. She knew when to do things and when to pull back and just give you the melody. The beginning of the chorus, when it's a cappella and the band is coming in, she's not doing anything with it other than giving us the melody. And she's just giving us the melody. That's the way Dolly wrote it. And that's all that's needed. She understood when to do it and when to pull back. She had taste.
If I could just applaud for 30 minutes. What's that gift with the dudes, everybody standing up and applauding? That's what you would get. I have been saying this for 15 years for I don't know how many artists. Look, this will get me canceled. My wife will run in and shock me in the head for saying it. There was an era where Beyonce was running her butt off, and I was like, this chick needs to bring it down because it's driving me nuts. You have to understand, if I love icing on my cupcakes, I don't want a whole cupcake of icing. You got to understand where to place it and when to place it and how much to add to the flavor. I don't want a whole cupcake, ain't enough icing. Like, you got to do it. Whitney knew when to do it. I wish that the girls today understood when to do it.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah, there was an interesting, I forget where I ran into this. There was an interview with Barry Manilow, of all people, and he was asked about arranging. And they go, how do you know when to arrange a song? He said, I listen to the lyric. I let the lyric tell me what to do in terms of arranging and what to do with regard to singing. I let the lyric tell me how to do everything. And that's the thing that is missing. Nobody is listening to the lyric anymore before just reading. Like, usually, like, you should take the lyric on a sheet of paper and just read the story. Just read the lyric as words on a page to figure out what it's saying, and then you know what to do. And you can tell that Whitney did that, was doing tons of that at this point, because she just never goes too far. Does she go out there? Can she? Of course she could. She was Whitney Houston, but she knew when to do it. And she was an absolute master at doing that. And all the things we find here, like Run to You. I mean, David Foster gives her soundscapes where she could effectively lose her ever-loving mind. And he wanted money notes. He would go for them at this point. He was, like I said, wasn't being particularly adventurous at this point. And he was very much cutting to template. And so all the stuff he produced kind of did this. And so he left her lots of room to lose her ever-loving mind if she wanted to. Yeah. And she never does. It's always tasteful. Even when you get to the modulation and I Have Nothing, it's the key is just ridiculously high. And she still doesn't lose her mind. She does enough. Frankly, she goes a little sharp on it. It's not perfect, but it doesn't matter. It feels good. That's what's important. And she does it with such taste, and it feels right to attack those lyrics like that. Like, don't leave me. Please don't leave me. It feels desperate, like it's supposed to. Mm-hmm. And then when that's done, she calms down and she goes back to whisper. She's a master of taste. She really was. She knew when to do things. And all of these tunes speak to that. I'm Every Woman does. Queen of the Night is a little crazy, but I like it anyway. I don't care.
It's a cool track.
Fun.
I don't dislike it.
It's a fun song. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with having a little fun. And the groove is great. Like, it grooves for days. So yeah, I mean, I've talked so much. My favorite would be I'm Every Woman, and my least favorite, my gosh, Kenny G, Waiting for You, because Kenny G is terrible.
He was decent in the 80s.
When he was with Jeff Lorber, that's when he was good. When he left Jeff Lorber, he left taste behind.
I was never a fan, but
Silhouette and Songbird were decent.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
Those are the only decent songs I can think of.
Yeah, that's pretty. When he started writing for the Housewives, it all went to sleep.
Yeah.
So
that Louis Armstrong bit was garbage.
That arpeggiated nonsense that he would do that wasn't even in key. Just like, why are you enjoying this? This is not proficiency. He's showing you he's not good at this. Congratulations on your breath control. Stay in the scale, please, and thank you. Like, some scale. Good. I'll take like D and just give me something. I'll say one quick thing about this is, if you dare look for this, there's an interview, and it had everything to do with that song, Dre, the one that you just mentioned, that Abomination.
The Louis Armstrong?
Yes.
Yeah.
the one with the dead body, that one. And Pat Metheny, if you type Pat Metheny, Kenny G into the search bar of Google, you will come up with this. And it is the most eloquent musical takedown of Kenny G that I've ever seen in my life. It is not nice, but it's not nice in the most musical way. Like, this is a guy that's been working for 50 years. He knows what he's talking about musically far better than I do or any of us here.
Mhm.
And he knows what he's doing. So he's like, when he does this, it's actually this. And this is not as good as you think it is, because it's not this, it's really this. And it's just very interesting to read, and it's merciless, and I love it. I'm here for all of it. It's terrible.
Oh, man.
I had to throw that in there. But yeah, so on that note, I have talked way too much in this episode.
It's all good, man.
Anything to add about Bodyguard?
Who liked the movie?
The movie was okay. Like, I feel like, again, I need to watch it as an adult, because watching it in 92, I was like, my mom loved it, my aunts loved it. I'm like, it's a movie. When is Ninja Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze coming back?
Yeah.
I don't want to watch that.
I had a crush on the sister in that movie, the crazy sister that tried to have her killed.
I totally forgot about that. Yes, I forgot that was a
Wow,
thing.
I did too.
Because I actually watched that movie, I want to say, like a couple years ago. I don't know why I watched it. I just saw it on TV. It's like, let me go ahead,
I need to rewatch it. I haven't watched it since.
Seen it sold, not since the theaters.
Yeah.
I remember thinking that Whitney could act. Like, I watched it and I thought, she can do this. It's better than Mariah Carey was. That's for
and she did better. Boy. Yeah, she did better than The Preacher's Wife. She did much better in that, because that was kind of more of her lane anyway.
Yeah.
I thought she was fairly convincing as that. I bought it. I mean, she was basically playing kind of a hopped up version of herself.
In the Bodyguard?
Yeah.
But
I thought she did it fairly well. I thought there was chemistry between Kevin and she, and I thought it was good. I liked it.
Yeah, it was decent, but it's, like you said, it was a movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's, we weren't looking for, the greatest movie ever released. It was a vehicle to get Whitney off the ground, and it served its purpose.
It worked.
Yeah, she was a megastar before, man. She was an icon after that.
Mm-hmm.
Basically. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And the record peaked. I meant to mention this about I'm Your Baby Tonight. Where do you think that peaked for I'm Your Baby Tonight? We gotta go back there for just a second. So interesting.
Number 11.
No, not that bad.
Okay.
It was better than that.
All right.
So we talked about, go ahead, please.
If we're talking peak, it feels like it would be number 1 R&B, 3 or 4 pop. I don't know.
Why are you the way you are? Because that's exactly right. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And I didn't cheat. I was not looking at the Wikipedia.
No, he did. We could tell you didn't know number 3. It went number 3 pop. It didn't go to number 1 on pop, but it certainly did R&B. So there you go.
R&B record, yes.
Yeah.
But here's another killer. This is why we didn't get another one of them. Because the record sold 4,150,000 records. It went 4 times platinum, only 4 times here.
Are those just the American numbers, or just domestically?
These are just American numbers. Worldwide, it went 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it went 10. But Whitney went 10 alone in the U.S.
Yep. Only 4 million.
Only 4. Right? That's considered a flop. But by her standards.
Yeah, I get it. By her standards,
this isn't good. Actually,
it wasn't pop. So, like I said, R&B doesn't sell as much.
It doesn't.
It's disgusting. And even if you look at like all these reissued labels, like Mobile Fidelity Sound Labs, like they're not going for R&B records. You rarely find R&B records being reissued by these audiophile labels. But you will certainly find Santana, you will find Donald Fagen, and you will find all the other albums that have been reissued about 50 million times. MFSO, wake up, please, thank you. Do I really need Led Zeppelin again? Like, I don't. I'm just putting that out there. It fit nowhere else. I just had to say it. But anyway, that will do it for this edition of our Whitney-a-thon. I have been Ed. The one that won't speak has been Dre, and that has been Ed Bowser.
Yes, sir.
And until we see each other for the next one, keep listening to great music.